This week was my first full week on Math Foundations 2. My progress slowed way down this week, still doing 1 to 2 hours per day of studying, but I'm failing a lot more lessons and I'm having to go back and review old ones to brush up on concepts that I'm forgetting. At one point, I got super frustrated with a concept that I just wasn't grasping, and I could feel myself procrastinating on starting that lesson because I just didn't wanna move forward on that topic. But what I found worked was to go back to the basics on that topic. So, Math Academy, when it's introducing a topic, has a button in the bottom corner that says prerequisites, like things you need to know in order to do this skill. So, I forced myself to go back on those prerequisites a few times until I got to a place where I understood the concept, and then I worked forward again until I got to the place where I was lost. And that's the beauty of Math Academy is how all the concepts link together in that way. If I was studying out of a textbook, sure, I could leaf backwards and find the foundational knowledge that I need in order to understand that new concept, but the ability to just have a link that says, okay, you're stuck on solving quadratic equations using a difference of squares. Well, here is the prerequisite, which is factoring the difference of squares. So I click on that link, realize I forgot how to do the difference of squares formula. So I click on that lesson to brush up on it. And then I work forward until I'm feeling confident with the skills I need to move forward. Overall, this week was much more of a grind. Every day was a lot harder than Math Foundations 1. So I wasn't having as much fun with it and I wasn't looking forward to my sessions as much. But this is where the returns really happen. When it starts to get beyond my level and I have to figure out how to internalize the concepts to keep pushing forward. This is what Seth Godin talks about in his book, The Dip. It's the moment when it gets hard. A lot of people give up because of that resistance. And there's an element of this to mastering my own psychology to stay motivated. I love the gamification that Math Academy has. I've set the goal of doing 60 experience points per day. And some days that's easy. Other days, it's torture. On the days where it's easy, I feel the urge to keep going and get to 120 XP and then take the next day off. But I'm reminded of the concept of the 20-mile march that if you were to tackle a big challenge like walking across the United States, you could be a fair weather walker and only do it when it's sunny and nice and you feel motivated. And maybe you walk 50 miles on those good days, on those really nice days. Or you could do 20 miles every single day, rain or shine, whether you feel like it or not. And the person who does 20 miles per day will cross the US far faster than the first guy. So I'm applying that to my learning. I'm having the discipline to do 60 experience points every day, even if there's days where I feel like doing more. And it almost takes more discipline on those days where I wanna do more than it is the discipline to just start. So these are the kind of psychological challenges I'm grappling with, and what works for me is different than what might work for you. But that's what this is all comes down to, is mastering your own psychology to be a self-directed learner. That is a benefit of testing too, is that you know by this date in college, I need to have memorized or mastered this scope of knowledge. But being self-directed, you need to figure out a rhythm that works for you and a way to motivate yourself. And that motivation could simply be the gamification method that Math Academy offers. So they have in addition to tracking the experience points, they have a running leaderboard where you can see how you're doing against other math learners this week. And if you're in the top 11, you get promoted to the next league. So you're always moving up if you're studying a lot, or you get demoted if you're in the bottom 11. So there's a bit of competition there. And Math Academy, it doesn't use streaks where it says you've hit your XP goal 5 days in a row or something like that. But it does show if you've hit your goal for today and how that compares against the past week. And Duolingo was famous for pioneering this method in their language learning app. And it's been proven to work for people to, I see people bragging about their streaks online. Like, I got 100 days in a row of studying Spanish. And the longer that streak becomes, the more it becomes an ingrained habit. And you don't want to break it. You don't want to break that streak. I have an app on my phone called Habits. That's a self tracked version of that. So every day I have things that I'm working on. and I can mark it complete or not. Or in some cases, like with exercises, I can mark how many reps I did of that particular thing. So I'd recommend a system like that too, where you have different things you're working on and you can track them in one place. And you can even track things you're quitting. So last month, I quit drinking coffee. And every single day that I didn't have a coffee, I marked it on my habits tracker. So that's a way that you can kind of add gamification to your life for things that aren't already gamified, like going to the gym or did I not eat sugar today or whatever it is for you. You can do that in a system like habits. So this has been my second week of documenting my journey to learning calculus through Math Academy. Subscribe if you want to follow along.